Following the news of a Slam Dunk movie by Toei Animation coming out soon, there has been a lot of discussion surrounding this series. Slam Dunk is one of my favourite manga, and it's a series that boasts tremendous success, but on this platform, on YouTube, there aren't many people talking about this masterpiece. And that's probably because it was completed over 20 years ago, but considering this movie is most likely going to generate a lot of noise for the series and potentially even create some new fans, I thought it would be fitting for me to make a video on this series that I absolutely adore. Why was Slam Dunk so successful? What about Slam Dunk makes it the golden standard of sports manga till this day? These are questions I will be attempting to answer in this video, but most specifically I want to focus on the incredible impact that Slam Dunk has had, both on the sports genre within manga, as well as the appeal of basketball as a sport itself in Japan. Quick disclaimer, I will be going into some minor spoilers regarding the series, but this video is still catered towards everybody, whether you have read the series or not, which means all spoilers will be very minor and practically harmless, as they are intended to introduce you to the series rather than tell you everything about it. There's going to be one major spoiler, but I will put a timestamp on the screen when it comes so you can skip over it. So without further ado, let's dive into Slam Dunk, the most impactful sports manga. Before we talk about Slam Dunk itself, we have to take a look at the man who created it. After all, it was his decision to make this manga about a sport that was almost unheard of in Japan at the time, and it was this manga that revolutionized basketball in the country. Takehiko Inoue is the author, illustrator and overall creator of Slam Dunk, as well as two other very popular manga, Vagabond and Real. Vagabond is the fictionalized account of the life of Miyamoto Musashi, the most famous samurai to ever live, and Real is a psychological drama that revolves around basketball. Slam Dunk is one of the best-selling manga in history, with over 126 million copies sold. Vagabond is also very successful with over 82 million copies sold, and Real has about 16 million copies sold, which is also very impressive. Simply off of these figures, you can tell that Inoue is a very successful, very beloved, and very popular mangaka within the industry. But on top of this, he is famed for having some of the most gorgeous artwork in all three of his manga. You will often find people comparing Inoue to Sakamoto Shinichi, Kentaro Miura, Yusuke Murata, Boichi, and so forth as one of the greatest illustrators in the history of manga. And beyond just art, all three of his manga are some of the best fictional stories I have personally experienced, brimming with fantastic characters, interesting premises, and very passionate themes that speak to millions of people just as they did to me. Beyond these three very popular manga, Inoue has written the 2-volume crime series Chameleon Jail, as well as Buzzer Beater, a 4-volume basketball manga. I have yet to read these two series, but they're worth mentioning because what you may have noticed is that 3 out of 5 of Inoue's works involve basketball. Inoue absolutely loves basketball. The sport is something incredibly dear to him. It's something that he cherishes from his high school days, and he has expressed this not only in his stories, but even in his personal life. In 2006, Inoue established the Slam Dunk Scholarship with the help of Shueisha. This is a program that gives a 17 to 18-year-old a fully paid academic and athletic scholarship to a university in America, which you probably know as the home of basketball. This is Inoue's way of giving back to the sport that he loves so much, and showing his appreciation, as he has directly stated in interviews. In 2010, the Japan Basketball Association expressed their gratitude to Takehiko Inoue for helping popularize basketball in Japan. Basketball was a sport that nobody really knew about, and it became one of the most popular sports in the entire nation, and that's majorly thanks to Inoue's influence through his comic book series. What's absolutely insane to think about is that Inoue was just a young manga artist at the age of 23 when he began writing Slam Dunk, and it's safe to say that he had no idea that he was about to revolutionize sports in Japan forever. The reason why I have dedicated this section to speaking about Inoue is because I believe that when taking a deeper look at a piece of work, you have to take a look at the person who created it. Knowing that Inoue has intense passion and love for basketball makes the reading experience of Slam Dunk a lot more enjoyable, as you can tell he has packed as much of his passion into these characters and into this story, and that's one of the main reasons Slam Dunk is so successful. It's a very passionate story that excels in evoking intense emotion from its readers. I want you to picture this. It's the 90s and you live in Japan. You're an avid manga fan and a reader of the weekly Shonen Jump magazine. Apparently there's a new series launching about a sport that you have never heard of. You pick it up and within the span of a single chapter, you find yourself absolutely captivated by this series about a sport that you have never seen before. This was February the 8th of 1991 for thousands of different people in Japan, and to understand why this manga was such a unique and revolutionary entry into the magazine, we have to take a deeper look at the state of sports manga at the time. Sports manga have been around for a while, since practically the beginning of Jump's establishment in the late 60s. The thing is, sports manga had been dominated by one of these two things. Either the sports manga was about the national sport baseball, or the main character was your typical and generic goody two-shoes. So when a basketball manga like Slam Dunk arrived in the magazine, a lot of people were immediately captivated. At the time, basketball was practically unknown in Japan. There wasn't even a national basketball team, which is pretty shocking in the 90s, considering this is the time the NBA reached its highest heights and basketball became one of the most popular sports across the globe. And to make things even more exciting, Slam Dunk's main protagonist, Sakuragi Hanamichi, is the furthest thing from a goody two-shoes. He's absolutely nothing like the typical sports protagonist of the early 90s, and that's something that made things even more absorbing to fans. As consumers, we're always looking for things we have never seen before, and that is exactly what Slam Dunk was. A lot of people find it hard to get into specific sports manga because they just don't care for the sport. So I have to dedicate this section of this video to telling you guys that Slam Dunk is for everybody. Sure, it's a basketball manga through and through, and there's a lot of sports action packed in this series, but if you have read a sports manga before, then I'm sure you know that an interest in the sport itself isn't necessary at all for you to enjoy the series. I don't care about volleyball at all, but I still had a ton of fun watching and reading Haikyuu. The exact same goes for Slam Dunk. All the different rules and ways to play are covered in an easily digestible and understandable manner within Slam Dunk, so if you're like I was before I read Slam Dunk and you know absolutely nothing about basketball, don't let that fact intimidate you, because Inoue caters to this in his manga fantastically, and you don't need to understand the sport because he will explain it to you. In fact, the main character himself, Sakuragi Hanamichi, doesn't know anything about basketball. He isn't suited to the sport at all. Like Japanese readers at the time, he was a complete rookie to basketball. Discovering the sport and learning how to play it is central to Slam Dunk's plot, so everything you need to know about the sport is actually provided within the manga itself. Remember, basketball was practically unheard of at the time, so Inoue had the challenge of introducing this entirely new sport to his audience through his manga. The fact that I knew practically nothing about basketball but still had a fantastic experience reading Slam Dunk is enough to tell you that despite being a basketball manga, you don't have to be a fan of basketball to enjoy it. On the other hand, despite me saying Slam Dunk is for everyone, there is a level of appreciation on the technical aspects of this manga that only a basketball fan can pick up on. As an active watcher of the NBA, Inoue knows how to craft realistic, developed and intense basketball games that are both thrilling and memorable. On top of that, there are quite a few characters in the cast that clearly take inspiration from real NBA players in both their design and style of play. So even though Slam Dunk is for basketball fans and non-basketball fans alike, if you do watch basketball, you're gonna have a ton of fun reading this manga. At the end of the day, whether it's a sports manga, a battle manga, a comedy manga or whatever, nearly every successful series within the history of Weekly Shonen Jump has a strong message as well as a strong sense of emotion. The golden motto or mantra of Weekly Shonen Jump is friendship, effort and victory. And I honestly don't think I have experienced a Jump manga that embodies these three terms as effectively as Slam Dunk. Over the course of the manga, we see tears shed. We see characters continuing to play despite severe injuries. We see characters refusing to stop training. We see characters celebrating, and so much more. This is a manga packed with heartfelt moments, character drama, hype sequences that have almost made me scream, as well as one of the most genuine and profound journeys of growth I have ever seen for a main character, Sakuragi Hanamichi. He starts off as a hot-headed, immature delinquent that hates basketball more than anything else, and grows into the power forward of the Shohoku High team, an essential component to the team dynamic with a fiery, almost contagious personality that is a result of immense love for basketball. And that's exactly what Slam Dunk is about. Basketball. A love for basketball, and despite me not caring about basketball, I resonated and related with both this theme and the characters who embody it very deeply, because this love for basketball isn't restrictive and it can be applied to anything you love. Slam Dunk is about putting anything and everything you can into something you love and celebrating that very thing with the people you love. It's a story about friendship, effort, and victory. Discussing artwork in manga can get interesting because you have a lot of varying takes. Some people think it can make or break a manga, whilst others say that it isn't important to them at all. My very simplified opinion on the topic is that manga is a visual medium, and the artwork is just as essential as the dialogue, if not even more essential. Most of a manga's storytelling is told visually through its art. In order for me to feel immersed and engaged when reading, I expect a certain level of quality and consistency from the artwork. Slam Dunk takes that level of quality and consistency and completely blows it out of the park, with some of the most gorgeous, consistent and fluid artwork I have ever seen. It starts off as a manga with already above average artwork, but nothing too remarkable from its character design to action sequences, and slowly evolves into a manga with some of the most technically impressive artwork I've ever seen. Beyond just looking absolutely gorgeous, there is a seriously noticeable passion in the way Inoue depicts the basketball game. Much like watching an actual basketball game, Inoue presents the game through a variety of different perspectives and camera angles, from close-ups of the players, to wide shots of the court, to views of the players on the bench, to views of the audience. Inoue makes sure to cover every aspect of the game, making his manga as grounded in realism as possible, and delivering a realistic, enjoyable sports event. I could sit here for hours talking about the fluid action sequences, the memorable and powerful facial expressions, the unique and distinctive character designs, as well as the intense and suspenseful scenes that you can find in this manga, but honestly, that's something I feel like everybody just knows and expects when it comes to Takehiko Inoue. If you guys want to see fantastic artwork, just read a manga by Takehiko Inoue. I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. In the first segment of this video, where I spoke about Takehiko Inoue, I went into the immense influence Slam Dunk has had on the sport of basketball within Japan. Slam Dunk is globally recognized as the basketball comic series, even outside of Japan, with Inoue even landing a collaboration with Jordan for the Air Jordan 6s. Just look at this beauty. I'm not really a fan of red trainers, but I need these on my shelf. Anyways, that's beside the point. The point is that Slam Dunk is incredibly impactful inside and outside of Japan. In the 90s, this was the only series to rival Dragon Ball in terms of popularity, and some people say that Slam Dunk was even more popular than Dragon Ball at times. And we all know just how impactful, influential, and revolutionary Dragon Ball was to shonen manga. Slam Dunk was game-changing for sports manga, and when it ended, there was a serious void left within Shonen Jump. Numerous sports series came after Slam Dunk, like Kuroko no Basket, Eiichiro 21, and Prince of Tennis, but nothing could truly fill Slam Dunk's shoes. That is, of course, until Haikyuu came along. I would say Haikyuu is the only sports series that truly lives up to the magnificence of Slam Dunk, and what's interesting is that you can see the heavy inspiration that Furudate has taken from Slam Dunk packed within Haikyuu. It's almost as if Furudate captured essentially what makes Slam Dunk so good and shaped it into their own masterpiece with Haikyuu. And just so that you guys don't think I'm just speculating here, let's take a look at the very clear Slam Dunk inspiration prevalent within Haikyuu. The captain of Shohoku High, Akagi, and the captain of Karasuno, Daichi, have very similar personalities. Both of these characters are among the most passionate in the entire cast and serve as the team's pillars. They're respected by most people in the series and can be scary if they have to be. Miyagi and Nishinoya are both short players, playing in a sport where height is a serious advantage. They serve as the contagiously happy team members who boost the team's morale with their energy. Something that kind of confirms to me that Furudate took inspiration from Miyagi's character when making Nishinoya is the fact that Nishinoya is from the Miyagi prefecture in Japan. Kogure and Sugawara are also very similar personalities and both had to take the backseat for the majority of the series in order to make way for the more talented first years who were more essential players for the team. They are also both third years, and the concept of having to stand on the sidelines during their final year is something integral to both of their characters. Rukawa and Kageyama serve as the prime rivals to our main protagonists, and they are natural talented geniuses at the sport. Both aim to surpass their seniors, Sendo and Oikawa respectively, and they're both pretty arrogant and egotistical. And this next one is a major spoiler for one of the final pages in the Haikyuu manga, as well as one of the final spreads in Slam Dunk, so please skip to the timestamp on the screen right now if you don't want to be spoiled, because as I said, this is a major spoiler. On the spread on the screen right now, you can see Hinata and Kageyama, who are the deuteragonists of Haikyuu, fist bumping. This is clearly a homage to this iconic spread of Sakuragi and Rukawa high-fiving, who are the deuteragonists of Slam Dunk. If you look even deeper into that Haikyuu spread, you'll see a callback to chapter 1 of Haikyuu when Hinata rode past an electronics store and saw a volleyball match and developed a love for the sport. On that spread, there's a kid riding past the electronics store, but if you look closely, you'll see that the electronics store is actually called Takinoue Electronics, which is clearly a reference to Slam Dunk's author, Takehiko Inoue. What's beautiful about this reference is that it comes right at the very end, and it shows the immense respect Furudate has for Inoue to refer to him in one of Haikyuu's most important sequences. All of those references I just mentioned are clear indicators that Haikyuu takes a lot of inspiration from Slam Dunk, and there's probably so much more inspiration packed into Haikyuu that I just haven't noticed. Bear in mind, Haikyuu is the second most popular sports manga in history, second only to Slam Dunk. And that, my friends, is exactly what I mean when I call Slam Dunk the most impactful sports manga in history. Thank you dearly for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.